Okay, guys, we're back. All right. I don't know what happened, but I got a little message, so I tried to go out as quick as I could and then come back in.
Joseph Politano,
John M. Pocher,
William Howard Holman,
Lawrence Michael Polich,
Thomas Polamos,
Steve Policino,
Susan Polio,
Darren H. Pontel,
Joshua Iowas Poteen,
Giovanna Porras,
Anthony Portillo,
James Edward Patorti,
Daphne Politoos,
Richard N. Polis,
Stephen Emmanuel Polis,
Brandon Jerome Powell,
Scott Allen Powell,
Sean Edward Powell,
Antonio Dorsey Pratt,
Gregory M. Preziose,
Wanda Evelise Prince,
Vincent A. Princiota,
Kevin M. Pryor,
Everett Martin Proctor III,
Carrie Beth Projan,
David Lee Prum,
Richard A. Pronti,
John Foster Puckett,
Robert David Police,
Edward F. Polis,
Patricia Ann Puma,
Jack D. Punches,
Hemeth Kumar Putor,
and my brother, Robert Cromwell Miller Jr. Bobby, we love and miss you so much. And my brother, like so many others, has beautiful grandchildren that he never had the opportunity to know and to love. Thousands of families were ripped apart that day, the largest attack in U.S. history. So another clear message to our leaders. No plea deal with the animal that masterminded this painful tragedy. We want justice.
and who I miss terribly, my handsome, sweet hero brother, Sal Edward Thierry Jr., who was a managing director for Marshall McLennan. Sal worked uptown in Midtown at that office and was assigned that fateful day to the Trade Center to attend a meeting for a colleague who couldn't attend. Close to 3,000 victims were murdered on September 11th, and all they were doing was going to work to provide for their respective families. It has been 23 years since this horrific tragedy, and in my strongest possible voice, as a retired principal, who I have a strong possible voice, I am demanding that the federal government, the government agencies who still remain to stay, and their respective lawmakers designate this day, September 11th, as a day of atonement, recognition, remembrance, and reflection of all the souls lost. God bless my dear brother, all the victims, and their respective families. May God bless America, and united we all stand.
Joseph J. Picure, Jr.,
Edward R. Pycon,
Christopher Quackenbush,
Lars Peter Qualben,
Lincoln Quapp,
Beth Ann Quigley,
Patrick J. Quigley IV,
Michael T. Quilty,
James Francis Quinn,
Ricardo J. Quinn,
Carol Millicent Rabelais,
Christopher Peter Anthony Racaniello,
Leonard J. Regalia,
Eugene J. Raggio,
Laura Marie Raganese Sink,
Michael Paul Ragusa,
Peter Frank Raimondi,
Harry A. Rains,
Lisa J. Rains,
Etesham Raja,
Valsa Raju,
Edward J. Rawl,
Lucas Rambusek,
Maria Ramirez,
Harry Ramos,
Vishnu Ramsarup,
Deborah H. Ramsauer,
Lorenzo E. Ramsey,
Alfred Todd Ranke,
Adam David Rand,
Jonathan C. Randall,
Shreyas S. Ranganath,
Ann T. Ransom,
Faina Rappaport,
Rhonda Sue Rasmussen,
Robert A. Rasmussen,
Aminia Rasul,
R. Mark Rossweiler,
Marcia D. Ratchford,
David Allen James Rathke,
and my uncle, NYPD, ESU, Truck 7 police officer, Santos Valentin Jr., and his partner, Ronald Klopfer. You guys are amazing. You're forever our heroes. Your families miss you every day. We will always remember you. We will always honor you. And your sacrifice will never go unnoticed till we meet again.
First, I want to take a moment to honor Martin Giovinazzo, the uncle of my coworker Lisa. He was a maintenance mechanic for Marsh & McLennan in the North Tower. Out of respect for him and his family, I want to acknowledge his memory today. He is deeply missed, and we remember him with gratitude. And my father, Edward Frank Pullis. He worked for Aon in the South Tower on the 101st floor. I recently learned that on that day, he made sure everyone on his floor got out safely, but when the PA system announced it was safer to return, my dad went back up. That's just who he was, someone who put others before himself, even in the most difficult moments. I was only 7 when he passed, but the memories I have are still so vivid. I remember playing video games like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro on our PlayStation 1 together. We would also watch TV, shows like Rugrats, Blue's Clues, and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. He'd make us mac and cheese on the weekends when my mom was working, and he always made sure we felt safe with bedtime stories. Those small everyday moments are the ones that have stayed with me the most. My dad was never a slacker. He lived with strength and earned respect in everything he did, whether at work, with his family, or just taking care of himself. Take care of himself. I tend to slack around this time of year with the gym, my diet, and staying focused, but I know my dad wouldn't let me get away with that. He always pushed me to do better, and I won't let him down. Dad, I miss you every day. I'll keep pushing, just like you always did. You taught me strength, respect, and the importance of showing up for the people you love, and I carry that with me. Before I finish, I want to say a special happy birthday to my mom, who is here today. Mom, I love you. I know Daddy would be so proud of the way you've carried us through this journey. Happy birthday.
William Ralph Robb,
Gerard F. Rousey,
Alexei Razuvayev,
Gregory Rita,
Sarah Ann Redheffer,
Michelle Marie Reed,
Judith Ann Reese,
Donald J. Regan,
Robert M. Regan,
Thomas Michael Regan,
Christian Michael Otto Regenhard,
Howard Reich,
Greg Reedy,
James Brian Riley,
Kevin O. Riley,
Timothy E. Riley,
Joseph Rena Jr.,
Thomas Barnes Reinig,
Frank Bennett Reisman,
Joshua Scott Reese,
Karen Renda,
John Armand Rio,
Richard Cyril Rescorla,
John Thomas Resta,
Sylvia Sampio Resta,
Martha M. Reski,
David E. Reddick,
Todd H. Rubin,
Luis Clodoaldo Ravil Mayer,
Eduvigus Reyes Jr.,
Bruce Albert Reynolds,
John Frederick Rhodes,
Francis Saverio Riccadelli,
Rudolph N. Riccio,
Anne Marie Riccoboni,
David Harlow Rice,
Eileen Mary Rice,
Kenneth Frederick Rice III,
Cecilia E. Richard,
Vernon Allen Richard,
and my uncles, Emmerich Harvey and Robert T. Twomey, and family friends, Kathy Maza and Edward Shunk. Thank you.
and my cousin, Sergeant Robert Jim Bob Colfers of the Port Authority Police Department. Bobby, your grandsons are getting so big now. You have 2 great nieces now. I can't believe it's been 23 years since you were taken from us, and the pain is just as raw as it was the day it happened. I pray that our leaders will never let another 9/11 happen again. I miss and love you, Bobby.
Claude Daniel Richards,
Gregory David Richards,
Michael Richards,
Vanessa Orentia Richards,
Jimmy Riches,
Alan J. Richmond,
John M. Rigo,
Frederick Charles Rimmel III,
Rose Mary Riso,
Moises N. Rivas,
Joseph R. Ravelli Jr.,
Carmen Alicia Rivera,
Isaias Rivera,
Juan William Rivera,
Linda Ivelisse Rivera,
David E. Rivers,
Joseph R. Reverso,
Paul V. Rizza,
John Frank Rizzo,
Stephen Louis Roach,
Joseph Roberto,
Leo Arthur Roberts,
Michael E. Roberts,
Michael Edward Roberts,
Donald Walter Robertson Jr.,
Jeffrey Robinson,
Michelle Lee Jean Robotham,
Donald Arthur Robson,
Antonio A. Rocha,
Raymond James Rocha,
Laura Rockefeller,
John Michael Rodak,
Antonio Jose Rodriguez,
Anthony Rodriguez,
Carmen Milagros Rodriguez,
Gregory E. Rodriguez,
Marcia A. Rodriguez,
Mayra Valdez Rodriguez,
Richard Rodriguez,
David Bartolo Rodriguez Vargas,
and my cousin, Michael A. Marty. This is the first anniversary that Michael's mother and my aunt, Rosalie Marty, is also no longer with us. Michael, I'm so glad that after 23 years, you guys are finally reunited. For the rest of us down here, just know that we miss you, we love you, we remember you every single day, and we will never, ever forget.
and my wife, Catherine Susan Wolf. 13 wonderful years. When I look back, I say, wow, even though I lost her, 13 wonderful years. It's so good to feel good about what I had rather than to feel bad about what I lost. She was wonderful. And I'd also like to say thank you. Thank you to all the people starting here and all the people who have made this place we are here now happen. From the very top, Michael Bloomberg, to the people that clean the concrete and marble late at night. Thank you to our governments, the city government, the state government, the federal government. The first year I read was the first anniversary, and my God, is it different now. It is a wonderful, wonderful place to remember our loved ones, the promises that have been kept, and of course, our own national security, which we need very badly. Thank you for everybody.
Matthew Rogan, Jean Destrahan Roger, Carly Rogers, Scott William Ronner, Keith Michael Roma, Joseph M. Romanolo, Efrain Romero Sr., Elvin Romero, James A. Ramito, Sean Paul Rooney, Eric Thomas Rapito, Aida Rosario, Angelina Rosario, Mark H. Rosen, Brooke David Rosenbaum, Linda Rosenbaum, Cheryl Lynn Rosenbaum, Lloyd Daniel Rosenberg, Mark Louis Rosenberg, Andrew Ira Rosenblum, Joshua M. Rosenblum, Joshua Allen Rosenthal, Richard David Rosenthal, Philip Martin Rosenzweig, Danielle Rossetti, Richard Barry Ross, Norman N. Rossinow, Nicholas P. Rosamondo, Michael Craig Rothberg, Donna Marie Rothenberg, Mark David Rothenberg, James Michael Rue, Nicholas Charles Alexander Rowe, Edward V. Rowenhorst, Judy Rowlett, Timothy Allen Roy Sr., Paul G. Rubeck, Ronald J. Rubin, Joanne Rubino, David M. Ruddle, and my brother, Nicholas Charles Alexander Rowe. Losing Nicholas left a hole in our family that can never be replaced. My mom and dad are now with him, and they took with them their memories of Nick and their heartache. And my uncle, Colonel Charles Edward Jones, who served this country proudly with the United States Air Force and was on that first plane, lost his life along with all of the innocent others. He will never be forgotten, always remembered. His life and legacy will continue.
Bart Joseph Ruggieri,
Susan A. Ruggiero,
Adam Keith Rualter,
Gilbert Ruiz,
Robert E. Russell,
Stephen P. Russell,
Stephen Harris Russin,
Michael Thomas Russo Sr.,
Wayne Allen Russo,
William R. Ruth,
Edward Ryan,
John Joseph Ryan,
Jonathan Stephen Ryan,
Matthew L. Ryan,
Tatiana Rishova,
Christina Sunga Liuk,
Thierry Sada,
Jason Elazar Sabag,
Thomas E. Sabella,
Scott H. Saber,
Charles E. Sabin Sr.,
Joseph Francis Satterdote,
Jessica Lee Sachs,
Francis John Sedocha,
Jude Elias Safi,
Brock Joel Safronoff,
Edward Saya,
John Patrick Salomon,
Marjorie E. Solomon,
Hernando Rafael Salas,
Juan G. Salas,
Esmerlin Antonio Salcido,
John Pepe Salerno,
Rama Salih and her unborn child,
Richard L. Salinardi Jr.,
Wayne John Salomon,
Norbert Solomon,
Catherine Patricia Salter,
Frank G. Salvatierra,
Paul Richard Salvio,
and my uncle, Christopher William Woodencheck. Chris was one of the best persons I've ever known. He's a great father, husband, brother, uncle, and friend. It's hard to believe it's 23 years now, especially for his 5 children. He was 35 when he passed, and it was way too soon. His children hardly knew him. Today, I want to thank everybody who still comes here and watches this ceremony. Without you, this wouldn't be here still. I want to thank everybody who puts this together and works behind the scenes. This would never flow as smoothly as it does. Thank you. Our military, of course, and our first responders as well. Thank you very much, and God bless America.
and my brother, Jayesh Shantilal Shah. Jayesh, though you are no longer with us, your legacy of love, joy, and dedication continue to live on in the hearts of all of us you touched.
Did you just pay with PayPal?
Yeah, and the cashback's wild.
Are you guys feeling this? I want to pay with you everywhere.
You get 5% cash back on any category you choose.
Really?
Every single month.
And even more when I shop online? I want to pay with you everywhere. I really like to pay with this.
I know, right?
No, I mean like move.
Oh.
Every payment, everywhere, every time. Don't just pay, PayPal. I don't think you hate me.
So, guys, thank you so much for being here on this day. And let's get back.
Stacy Leah Sanders.
Herman S. Sandler.
Jim Sands Jr.
Aileen J. Santiago.
Kirsten Reese Santiago.
Maria Teresa Conception Santillan.
Susan Gail Santo.
Christopher A. Santora.
John August Santore.
Mario L. Santoro.
Rafael Umberto Santos.
Rufino C.F. Santos III.
Victor J. Saracini.
Kalyan Sakar.
Chappelle Rene Stewart Sarker.
Paul F. Sarl.
Deepika Kumar Sataliri.
Gregory Thomas Sacedo.
Susan M. Sauer.
Anthony Savas.
Vladimir Savikin.
John Michael Sabarbaro.
David M. Scales.
Robert Louis Scandal.
Michelle Scarpita.
Dennis Scousa.
John Albert Sharp.
John G. Sharp.
Fred C. Sheffield Jr.
Angela Susan Scheinberg.
Scott Mitchell Schertzer.
Sean Shelke.
Stephen Francis Schlage.
Robert A. Schlegel.
John Schliessel.
Karen Helene Schmidt.
Ian Schneider.
Thomas G. Scholes.
Frank G. Schott Jr.
Gerard Patrick Strang.
Jeffrey H. Schreier.
John T. Schrader.
Susan Lee Laspa Schuler.
Edward W. Shunk.
Mark Evan Schumeyer.
John Burkhart Schwartz.
Mark Schwartz.
Adrian Victoria Sabetta.
Raphael Skorka.
And my uncle, Christopher Paul Slattery. Even though we never got to meet, I love you and I will never forget you.
And to my uncles, Robert W. Spear Jr. and Timothy Avern Haviland, we love you and miss you. God bless America.
Janice M. Scott.
Randolph Scott.
Christopher J. Scudder.
Arthur Warren Scullin.
Michael H. Seaman.
Margaret M.
Look at you.
Seeliger.
Anthony.
You want credit?
Carlos Segura.
Jason M. Sexer.
Matthew Carmen Salito.
Who's looking for me?
Michael L. Selvis.
Who?
Howard
What?
Selwyn.
Larry John Senko.
Arturo Angelo Sereno.
Frankie Serrano.
Marion H. Serva.
Alana Sesinova.
Adele Christine Sessa.
Sita Namala Sunareen.
Karen Lynn Seymour.
Davis Greer Senza Jr.
Thomas Joseph Scroy.
Jayesh Shantalal Shah.
Khalid M. Shahid.
Mohammed Shahjahan.
Gary Shamay.
Earl Richard Shanahan.
Dan F. Shanauer.
Neil G. Shastri.
Catherine Ann Shatzoff.
Barbara A. Shaw.
Jeffrey James Shaw.
Robert John Shea Jr.
Daniel James Shea.
Joseph Patrick Shea.
Kathleen Shearer.
Robert M. Shearer.
Linda June Sheehan.
Hagay Sheffy.
Antoinette M. Sherman.
John Anthony Sherry.
Atsushi Shiratori.
Thomas Joseph Schubert.
Mark Schulman.
C. Wang Shum.
Alan Abraham Schwartzstein.
Claren Shelley Siegel Schwartz.
Joanna Sigmund.
Diane T. Signer.
Gregory Sikorsky.
Stephen Gerard Siller.
David Silver.
Craig A. Silverstein.
Nasima H. Simji.
Bruce Edward Simmons.
Diane M. Simmons.
Donald D. Simmons.
George W. Simmons.
Arthur Simon.
Kenneth Allen Simon.
And my brother, Michael Wittenstein. Michael, there aren't enough words to express how much you are missed and loved. And coming here every year, although it brings some level of comfort, it'll never take away the pain of you being gone. We know you're looking upon us and so proud of what your nieces and nephews have accomplished. We love you and we miss you. Thank you.
And my uncle Greg Reedy. We know you are dancing in heaven. We love and miss you every single day. Thank you.
Michael J. Simon.
Paul Joseph Simon.
Marianne LeCory Simone.
Barry Simowitz.
Jane Lewis Simpkin.
Jeff Lyle Simpson.
Cheryl D. Sincock.
Kamlade Kami Singh.
Roshan Ramesh Singh.
Thomas E. Sinton III.
Peter A. Syracuse.
Muriel F. Siskopoulos.
Joseph Michael Sisolak.
John P. Scala.
Francis Joseph Skidmore Jr.
Toyena Corliss Skinner.
Paul Albert Skirsepic.
Christopher Paul Slattery.
Vincent Robert Slavin.
Robert F. Sliwak.
Paul Kenneth Sloan.
Stanley S. Smagala Jr.,
Wendy L. Small,
Greg H. Smallwood,
Catherine T. Smith,
Daniel Lawrence Smith,
Gary F. Smith,
George Eric Smith,
Heather Lee Smith,
James Gregory Smith,
Jeffrey R. Smith,
Joyce Patricia Smith,
Carl T. Smith Sr.,
Kevin Joseph Smith,
Leon Smith Jr.,
Moira Ann Smith,
Monica Rodriguez Smith,
Rosemary A. Smith,
Bonnie Shihadi Smithwick,
Rochelle Monique Snell,
Christine Ann Snyder,
Diane Bullis Snyder,
Leonard J. Snyder Jr.,
Astrid Elizabeth Sohan,
Sushil S. Solanki,
Ruben Solaris,
Naomi Leah Solomon,
Daniel W. Song,
Mary Ray Sopper,
Michael Charles Ceresi,
Fabian Soto,
Timothy Patrick Sulas,
Gregory Thomas Bagnaletti,
Donald F. Spampinato Jr.,
Thomas Barasio,
John Anthony Spataro,
Robert W. Spear Jr.,
Robert Spiceman,
Maynard S. Spence Jr.,
George Edward Spencer III,
and my fiance, Andrew J. Bailey. Andrew, in this very space is where we met and where I lost you. Losing you on September 11th changed my life forever. Though you left us and your baby girl Rocky far too soon, the memories we shared both at home and in this space will forever remain in our hearts. Myself escaping Tower 1, losing you, our friends, and my job in a matter of hours gave me a new sense of purpose. It gave me a voice to advocate and fight for what is right and wrong in this country. I'm here to remind everyone that life can change in the blink of an eye. So love more, especially your neighbors. Live more, laugh more with family and friends, because we are not promised tomorrow. Andrew, I knew you were up there doing what you loved on the 93rd floor at Marsh and McLennan, trying to bring people to safety. My family and I promise to keep your memory alive, ensuring that those around us will never forget you and all the lives lost on September 11th.
and my sister, Lindsay Stapleton Morehouse. Like all of these souls lost this day, my sister Lindsay was a bright light in our lives. And even though she left us 23 years ago, her light still shines strong in all that loved and knew her. I love you, Linz, and I also love this city and my fellow New Yorkers.
Robert Andrew Spencer,
Mary Rubina Sperando,
Frank Spinelli,
William E. Spitz,
Saranya Saran,
Fitzroy St. Rose,
Michael F. Stable,
Lawrence T. Stack,
Timothy M. Stackpool,
Richard James Stottelberger,
Eric Adam Stallman,
Gregory Stack,
Mary Dominica Stanley,
Anthony Starita,
Jeffrey Stark,
Derek James Statkovicius,
Patricia J. Stats,
Craig William Staub,
William V. Steckman,
Eric Thomas Steen,
William R. Steiner,
Alexander Robbins Steinman,
Edna L. Steffens,
Andrew Sturgiopoulos,
Andrew J. Stern,
Norma Lang Sturley.
Martha Jane Stevens.
Michael James Stevens.
Richard H. Stewart Jr.
Sanford M. Stoller.
Douglas Joel Stone.
Lonnie J. Stone.
Jimmy Neville Story.
Timothy Stout.
Thomas Strada.
James J. Strain Jr.
Edward Thomas Strauss.
Stephen R. Strauss.
Larry L. Strickland.
Stephen F. Strobert.
Wildwin Wellington Stewart Jr.
Benjamin Suarez.
David Scott Suarez.
Ramon Suarez.
Dino Xavier Suarez Ramirez.
Yoichi Sumimama Sugiyama.
David Mark Sullins.
Christopher P. Sullivan.
William Christopher Sugar.
Thomas G. Sullivan.
Patrick Sullivan.
James Joseph Suazo.
Hilararo Serrano Samaya Jr. I was only in the 5th grade when the towers fell. I didn't know what a terrorist was. All I knew that my Uncle Michael was gone and he wasn't coming back. There was no more squeezing into his 2-door coupe, taking trips back and forth. There was no more wrestling in my Titi Jane's backyard. There was no more family holidays with him. Now, listening to millions of stories today and hearing so many tears and cries and frustrations of lost ones, I'm here to tell you guys that they're fallen but not forgotten. My kids will never forget who their Uncle Michael is. I will never forget who my Uncle Michael is. I love you forever, Michael Angelo Trinidad.
And my aunt, Karen Joyce Klitzman. And Karen, you were only 5 years old when you were taken from me, but I will never forget the memories we had together. You took me to my first Yankee game, my first Big Apple Circus, and even gave me my first slice of New York cheesecake. You were truly one of a kind. We love you, we miss you, and we will never forget.
Colleen M. Sapinski.
Robert Sutcliffe.
Celine Sutter.
Claudia Suzette Sutton.
John Francis Sweeney.
Christine M. Swearson.
Brian David Sweeney.
Brian Edward Sweeney.
Madeline Amy Sweeney.
Kenneth J. Swenson.
Thomas F. Swift.
Derek Ogilvie Sword.
Kevin Thomas Sozik.
Gina Steinberg.
Norbert P. Shorkowski.
Harry Tabak.
Joanne C. Tabak.
Norma C. Tadai.
Michael Tadano.
Kaishiro Takahashi.
Kenji Takahashi.
Phyllis Gail Talbot.
Robert R. Tahami.
John Talginani.
Sean Patrick Tollin.
Paul Talty.
Marita Tam.
Rachel Tamaris.
Hector Rogan Tamayo.
Michael Andrew Tamuccio.
Conchiro Tanaka.
Rondell Sherrod Tankard.
Kenneth Joseph Tenino.
Dennis Gerard Taramina Jr.
Michael C. Terrell.
Alan Tarasevich.
Deborah Torella.
Ronald Tartaro.
Donnie Brooks Taylor.
Daryl Anthony Taylor.
Kip P. Taylor.
Hilda E. Taylor.
Larissa Clayton Taylor.
Leonard E. Taylor.
Sandra C. Taylor,
Michael Morgan Taylor,
Carl W. TP,
Sandra Dawn Teague,
Yeshavan Moshar Timby,
Paul A. Techmeyer,
Dorothy Pearl Temple,
Anthony Tempesta,
David Gustav Peter Tanglin,
Stanley L. Temple,
Lisa Marie Terry,
Brian John Terenzi,
Harshad Sham Thatway,
Gumati Thakardine, Michael Theodorus,
and my grandmother Louise Ann Lynch, that should be here but isn't.
and my cousin John Francis McDowell Jr. We love you and miss you. I hope you're hitting them straight up there, and even after 23 years, you still haven't three-putt. We know Aunt Patty, you, and Uncle Jack are here with us today. God bless our troops, and God bless America.
Thomas F. Thurkoff Jr.,
Leslie Ann Thomas,
Brian Thomas Thompson,
Clive Ian Thompson,
Glenn Thompson,
Nigel Bruce Thompson,
Perry A. Thompson,
Vanava Alexi Thompson,
Captain William Harry Thompson,
Eric Raymond Thorpe,
Nicola Angela Thorpe,
Tamara C. Thurman,
Sal Edward Thierry Jr.,
John Patrick Tierney,
Mary Ellen Tiesi,
William Randolph Tista,
Kenneth Tejan,
Stephen Edward Ty,
Scott Charles Temes,
Michael E. Tinley,
Jennifer M. Tino,
Robert Frank Tapaldi,
John James Tipping II,
David Tirado,
Hector Luis Tirado Jr.,
Michelle Lee Titolo,
Alicia Nicole Titus,
John J. Tobin,
Richard J. Tedisco,
Otis V. Tolbert,
Vladimir Tomasevich,
Stephen Kevin Thompson,
Thomas Tong,
Doris Torres,
Luis Eduardo Torres,
Amy Elizabeth Toyin,
Christopher Michael Traina,
Daniel Patrick Trent,
Abdul Karim Traore,
Glenn J. Travers Sr.,
Walter Philip Travers,
Felicia Yvette Trailer Bass,
James Anthony Trentini,
Mary Barbara Trentini,
Lisa L. Treratola,
Karamo Baba Trera,
Michael Angel Trinidad,
Francis Joseph Trombino,
Gregory James Trost,
Willie Q. Troy,
William P. Slepes Jr.,
Zanetta Valentinovna Soy,
Michael Patrick Tucker,
Lance Richard Tumulty,
Ching Ping Tong,
Simon James Turner,
Donald Joseph Tuzio,
Robert T. Twome,
Jennifer Lynn Semis,
John G. Yusufer,
and my brother, Sergeant Thomas Edward Jurgens. You led a life of service to your community, to your neighbors. And while that ultimately cost you your life, you've had the really big impact on everyone's lives you've touched. And on a positive note, as an avid Yankee fan, just want you to know that the Yankees are #1 in the AL East. So I hope they have the Yes Network in heaven.
and my mother, Claudia Suzette Sutton. I'm almost 30 now, but still very much that 6-year-old girl waiting for you to come home. We love you and we miss you. We hope we are making and continue to make you proud. We carry you with us in everything that we do. Continue to watch over us.
Tyler Victor Ugalin, Michael A. Uliano, Jonathan J. Uman, Anil Shivari Umakar, Alan V. Upton,
Diane Marie Urban,
John Damian Vocaccio,
Bradley Hodges Bodas,
William Valparcel,
Felix Antonio Bale,
Ivan Vale,
Benito Valentin,
Santos Valentin Jr.,
Carlton Francis Balvo II,
Pendiala Vam Shri Krishna,
Erica H. Van Acker,
Kenneth W. Van Auken,
R. Bruce Van Hine,
Daniel M. Van Laer,
Edward Raymond Vanacore,
John Charles Van Devander,
Frederick T. Barachi,
Gopala Krishnan Varadan,
David Vargas,
Scott C. Vassal,
Azail Ishmael Vasquez,
Ronald J. Valk,
Archangel Vasquez,
Santos Vasquez,
Peter Vega,
Sankara Sastri Velamuri,
Jorge Velasquez,
Lawrence G. Velling,
Anthony Mark Ventura,
David Vera,
Loretta Ann Vera,
Christopher James Villalonga,
Matthew Gilbert Viana,
Robert Anthony Vicario,
Celeste Torres Victoria,
Joanna Vidal,
John T. Vigiano II,
Joseph Vincent Vigiano,
Frank J. Vignola Jr.,
Joseph Barry Villardo,
Clarabelle Villalomos Hernandez,
Sergio Gabriel Villanueva,
Chantal Vincelli,
Melissa Renee Vincent,
Francine N. Virgiello,
Lawrence Virgilio,
Joseph Gerard Vinciano,
Joshua S. Vital,
Maria Pacoco Bola,
Lynette D. Vosquez,
Garo H. Voskirijan,
Alfred Anton Vuska,
Gregory Kamal Bruno Waltler,
Karen J. Wagner,
Mary Alice Wallstrom,
and my sister, Jody Tepedino Nicolo, Tower 1, 105th floor, Cantor Fitzgerald. We love you, Jody. We miss you. And until we meet again, we will forever sing your praise.
and my uncle, Luis Eduardo Torres. Uncle, Theo, it's been 23 years since you've left this world. We take the time on this day and like every other day to look back at those countless memories of you and share emotions with the family. One of those memories I still cherish a lot are the ones Mommy tells about your career in the military. You served with passion and with dedication in the Colombian military for over 2 years, while specializing in engineering and reaching your goal, which was to enter the Airborne Division and become a paratrooper. Except you had to leave to the States and leave the dream behind. So now I'll be following your footsteps with honor and glory. Last ceremony, I entered senior year. This year's ceremony, I graduate senior year and have dedicated my future with the U.S. National Guard and expect to leave this November for basic training to truly embark in this journey. I'm doing this for you, Theo, and your name. I hope you're proud of me. We miss you and love you. Te quiero mucho, Theo. Que Dios bendiga esta nación. God bless you all.
Honor Elizabeth Guineo,
Gabriela Sylvina Waisman,
Wendy Alice Rosario Wakeford,
Courtney Wainsworth Walcott,
Victor Wald,
Kenneth E. Waldy,
Benjamin James Walker,
Glenn Wall,
Mitchell Scott Wallace,
Peter Guider Wallace,
Robert Francis Wallace,
Roy Michael Wallace,
Jean Marie Wallendorf,
Matthew Blake Wallens,
Meta L. Waller,
John Wallace Jr.,
Barbara P. Walsh,
Jim Walsh,
Jeffrey P. Walls,
Ching Wang,
Weban Wang,
Michael Warcola,
Stephen Gordon Ward,
Timothy Ray Ward,
James A. Waring,
Brian G. Warner,
Derek Christopher Washington,
Charles Waters,
James Thomas Waters Jr.,
Patrick J. Waters,
Kenneth Thomas Watson,
Michael Henry Way,
Todd Christopher Weaver,
Walter Edward Weaver,
Nathaniel Webb,
Dinah Webster,
William Michael Weems,
Joanne Flora Weil,
Michael Thomas Weinberg,
Stephen Weinberg,
Scott Jeffrey Weingard,
Stephen George Weinstein,
Simon Weiser,
David M. Weiss,
David Thomas Weiss,
Chin Supak Wells,
Vincent Michael Wells,
Deborah Jacobs Welsh,
Timothy Matthew Welty,
Christian Hans Rudolph Wemmers,
Sue Wee Wen,
John Joseph Wenkus,
Ole D. Wenderchuk,
Peter M. West,
Whitfield West Jr.,
Meredith Lynn Whalen,
Eugene Michael Whalen,
Adam S. White,
Edward James White III,
and James Patrick Weiss. White. Sorry.
and my sister Judith Ann Reese. Well, my dear sister, it's been 23 years since we lost you, and we miss you every day. In some ways, it seems like a lifetime ago, and in some ways, it seems like yesterday. All of us miss your smile, your sense of humor, and your carefree spirit. We miss so many things about you, and we have so many memories that bring a smile to our face. Whenever we hear a country western song, especially Garth Brooks, or any music from the 50s, we are reminded of how much you love listening to their music. These memories and so many more are forever a part of the fabric of our lives. As you know, we were all deeply saddened with the passing of our nephew Brian 2 years ago. We miss his energy, his wit, and his passionate dedication to all who knew him. We take comfort in the knowledge that you and his mother, Elizabeth, welcomed him into heaven with open arms, and we know you're all watching over us. Judy, your nephews and niece and their spouses, Michael and Loma, Jackie, Kevin and Eileen, Christine and Joseph, and Dennis and Holly are awesome role models for their incredible children. Emily and Justin are a loving couple and are a constant reminder of all that is good in our world. As one sports season begins and another one comes to a close, I know you'll be cheering for your Washington Commanders, and Elizabeth will be cheering for her Yankees. Well, goodbye for now. I want to thank all the folks and volunteers associated with this memorial. Your dedication, your service, and your compassion are so deeply appreciated. May God bless all the families of 9/11. May God bless our first responders, our firefighters, our police officers, and all our veterans and those currently serving in our military. God bless America.
And my brother, firefighter John James Tipping II. 15 brave men were killed that day from John's firehouse. And from the onset, the men there have been there for us and our grieving families, despite their own grief. And still 23 years later, their comfort and support remains. So thank you for always being there for us. And thank you, New York City, and all the people involved in putting the commemorative remembrance together. It means so much to us to hear our loved one's name and know they are not forgotten. And John, this was written 23 years ago by your 12-year-old niece, Spencer. It's titled The Best Go First. When the unsavable needs saving and the unreachable need to be reached, the best help first. And when their perilous work is called for, the best answer first. And when going in may mean that they may not come back out, the best enter first. And when their life is at risk, they put others first. And when death comes silently lurking, the best go first. Oh my gosh.
John Sylvester White,
Kenneth Wilburn White Jr.,
Leonard Anthony White,
Melissa Y. White,
Maudlin A. White,
Sandra L. White,
Wayne White,
Leanne Marie Whiteside,
Mark P. Whitford,
Leslie A. Whittington,
Mark T. Woolley,
Mary Lenz Wyman,
Jeffrey David Weiner,
William J. Wick,
Allison Marie Wildman,
Glenn E. Wilkinson,
Ernest M. Wilshire,
John Charles Willett,
Brian Patrick Williams,
Candace Lee Williams,
Crossley Richard Williams Jr.,
David J. Williams,
David Lucian Williams,
Debbie L. Williams,
Dwayne Williams,
Kevin Michael Williams,
Louis Anthony Williams,
Louis Calvin Williams III,
John P. Williamson,
Donna Ann Wilson,
William Eben Wilson,
David Harold Winton,
Glenn J. Winnick,
Thomas Francis Wise,
Alan L. Wisniewski,
Frank Paul Wisniewski,
David Wishwall,
Sigrid Charlotte Wisway,
Michael R. Wittenstein,
Christopher W. Wodencheck,
Martin Phillips Wolforth,
Catherine Susan Wolf,
Jennifer Yen Wong,
Su Chung Steve Wong,
Yin Ping Wong,
Yuk Ping Wong,
Brent James Woodall,
James John Woods,
Marvin Roger Woods,
Patrick J. Woods,
Richard Herod Woodwell,
David Terrence Woolley,
John Bentley Works,
Martin Michael Wortley,
Rodney James Wotton,
William Wren retired,
John W. Wright Jr.,
Neil Robin Wright,
Sandra Lee Wright,
Jupiter Yambem,
and my brother Glenn Davis Kerwin. Time passes. We have not and will not forget. We miss you.
and my uncle Salvatore P. Lopes. I'm so happy to be joined in person today by your youngest daughter, Nicole. Thank you, Uncle Sal, for her sister Allie, my Aunt Lorraine. Without them, our family is not complete. And because of them, I know that without you, our family isn't complete either. Keep smiling down on us. We love you and miss you every day.
John D. Yamicki. Vicky Yancey.
Matthew David Yarnell. Myrna Nespuka.
Shuyin Yang.
Matthew David Yarnell.
Myrna Yaskulka.
Shakila Yasmin.
Olabisi Shadi Leani Yi.
Kevin W. Yoakum.
Edward P. York.
Kevin Patrick York.
Raymond R. York.
Suzanne Martha Humans.
Barrington Leroy Young Jr.
Donald MacArthur Young.
Edmund G. Young Jr.
Jacqueline Young.
Lisa L. Young,
Elkin Ewan,
Joseph C. Zaccoli,
Adele Agabi Zachary,
Arcady Zaltzman,
Edwin J. Zambrana Jr.,
Robert Allen Zampieri,
Mark Zangrilli,
Christopher R. Zabra Jr.,
Ira Zaslow,
Kenneth Albert Zellman,
Abraham J. Zelmanowitz,
Martin Morales Sempotal Tecate,
Ji Zheng,
Mark Scott Zeppelin,
Ji Yao Justin Zhao,
Yuguang Zheng,
Evelyn Zeminski,
Michael Joseph Zinzi,
Charles Allen Zion,
Julie Lynn Zipper,
Salvatore J. Zizza,
Prokopios Paul Zois,
Joseph J. Zucala,
Andrew Stephen Zucker,
Igor Zuckerman, and my brother John Fiorito. John, you remain with us now and forever in our hearts and minds, and your life and spirit continue to inspire us in many ways. Your sacrifice has strengthened us, and I know you are proud of how your child, your son, has grown. We are confident you have found favor with God, and we ask the Lord to bless the precious souls taken on this day 23 years ago, to bless those who responded with self-sacrifice and bravery, and to help us move forward. May we never forget, and may God bless America.
and my brother Joey, Joe Calandrillo. Just a good man. Always putting everyone ahead of himself, and I don't know, when we leave Earth, I don't know where we go. But if they have basketball schoolyards there, he'll pick me for his team, even though I've been missing my hook shot center court about 7 out of 10 times. He'll pick me for his team. He'll probably lose because of me, but he'll take the rap as long as I'm not sitting over on the cement wall, crying because I wasn't picked. Just what a good guy. And that reminds me, you still owe me a rematch on the one-on-one. Yeah, it was our last rematch, our last one-on-one in Plainview that time, and finally got the damn ball away from you. And so I ran to center court, great for playing teams, but bonehead move playing with you, playing against you, I should say. Anyway, I took my shot, knew where to stand, one jump. You had the ball, game over for me. You'll have to tell me, though, where I should have been, so I don't lose again. All right, talk to you later. I want to thank all the men and women in law enforcement and fire, first responders, and our military. They keep us free and they keep us safe. God bless all of you, and God bless the United States of America.
Nancy Claire Beach, Stephen Dennis Cafriero Jr., Brenda C. Gibson, Florence Morgan Gregory, Richard J. Donner, Myung Woo Lee, Timothy Michael O'Brien, Angel Perez Jr., Christopher J. Pickford, Joseph Patrick Spohr, Klaus Johannes Sporkat, Alexandru Liu Stan, Karina Stan, Edward W. Schwab, George J. Strout Jr., Daniel Thomas Sir, Michael Anthony Tanner, David Gustav, Peter Tangelin, Shurish Yamadala, and my brother, Christopher Samuel Epps. We miss you, Christopher. It has been 23 years, and how your life in the beginning had impacted our family since our mother had you at an older age. We took care of you, we nurtured you throughout your years of 29 years when you became adult. You were in Tower 2 on the 98th floor as an accountant for Marsh and McLennan. We deeply miss you, Christopher. Not one day, hour, or moment that our family does not miss you. Your sister, your brothers, your cousins all deeply miss you. They were there that horrible day, searching everywhere for you, in hospitals, all up and down, placing flyers to find you alive. But God had other plans. But we are all grateful today for the freedom and liberties to live in the United States of America. We are all living in the land of the free and the home of the brave. I would like to thank President Bloomberg and his committee for every year, without fail, bringing us all together to pay witness and remember our family members. We are all here by grace, and love and peace, I pray, rest within all of us. Thank you.
The 24 powerful notes of taps, the plaintive wail of the bugles, originally the sound for lights out, expanded later to include the sad mantra for those killed in battle.